Have you ever wondered what it would be like to step out of our modern world and into a completely different era? Picture a life where your morning begins not with the glow of a screen, but with the first light of dawn filtering through a courtyard. A life where your responsibilities stretch across sprawling marble halls, fragrant kitchens, and bustling servant quarters. This isn't just a daydream, it's the reality for the villa housekeeper in ancient Rome, a role that placed you at the very heart of one of history's most complex and luxurious households. In a world without instant communication or modern conveniences, the villa housekeeper was the unseen force that kept everything running. Your eyes missed nothing from the arrangement of sacred household gods to the inventory of wine amphorae, from the conduct of enslaved workers to the preferences of the master and his guests. Every detail mattered, and every decision you made could mean the difference between harmony and chaos. It was a role filled with immense pressure, but also with quiet authority and intimate knowledge of the family's most guarded secrets. Today, we're going to journey back in time and explore this fascinating role in vivid detail. We'll walk through the villa at sunrise, oversee the distribution of tasks, and even uncover some of the hidden dramas that unfolded behind closed doors. This is more than a history lesson. It's an invitation to step into the sandals of someone who shaped daily life in ways we can barely imagine. So settle in, because by the end of this video, you'll not only understand the life of a Roman villa housekeeper, you'll feel as though you've lived it. Your day begins before the sun even crests the horizon. As the villicus, you are the first to stir, moving silently through the cool, shadowed halls of the villa. Your mind is already a whirlwind of tasks, a mental checklist that governs the rhythm of the entire estate. Your primary domain is the cella panaria, the storeroom, the heart of the household's well-being. Here, you take inventory with a critical eye, running your fingers over the smooth clay of amphorae to ensure the olive oil and garum, that pungent, fermented fish sauce essential to Roman cooking, are in ample supply. You check the grain bins, calculating if the harvest will last the season, and you inspect the wine, knowing a single sour cask could ruin an important dinner for the dominus. But your authority extends far beyond the pantry. You are the chief administrator, the ultimate supervisor of the dozens, sometimes hundreds, of enslaved individuals whose labor makes this luxurious life possible. You assign duties with a firm but fair hand, directing the kitchen staff to begin preparing the morning tentaculum, sending the cleaning crews to sweep the mosaic floors with broom and water, and checking that the atriensis is properly maintaining the grand entrance hall to receive any potential morning callers. Every slave's task, from the lowly stable boy to the skilled personal attendant of the domina, falls under your purview. You must know their strengths, their weaknesses, and their temperaments, because their performance is a direct reflection of your own. Your connection to the master of the house, the dominus, is one of immense trust and immense pressure. You are his eyes and ears within the private world of the family. Multiple times a day, you report to him, presenting your wax tablets filled with careful notations of expenses, inventory levels, and any issues among the staff. You anticipate his needs before he even voices them, ensuring his favorite wine is chilled, that fresh flowers adorn the triclinium for his evening symposium, or that a troublesome slave is reassigned before they cause a disruption. Your success is measured in the smooth, seamless operation of the villa. A single mistake, a mismanaged resource, or an unprepared guest room could mean severe reprimand or worse. Yet, This position also grants you a unique form of power and intimate knowledge, making you the most important servant in a world where order and discipline were everything. The chill of the marble floor seeps through the thin soles of your sandals as you move through the silent, sleeping villa. Your first task is to bring light to the darkness, carefully lighting the wicks of small clay oil lamps. Each flame you nurture pushes back the shadows, a tiny beacon of order in the overwhelming quiet. This isn't just about illumination. It's a ritual that signifies your command over the household's transition from rest to activity. The faint smell of burning olive oil will soon be joined by the more robust scent of baking bread. But for now, it's just you and the flickering light. Your footsteps are purposeful as you head straight for the heart of the home's operations. The kitchen. The head cook is already there, having been roused by one of the junior kitchen slaves you sent earlier. Together, you review the day's agenda etched into your wax tablet. Is the dominus expecting business associates for the morning meal? Is the domina planning a visit to the baths later, requiring a lighter lunch? This quick, whispered conference determines the entire day's culinary rhythm. You authorize the unlocking of the grain chest for the day's bread and confirm the number of eggs and the portion of cheese to be served, making mental calculations against your earlier inventory check. With the kitchen's plans set in motion, you move to the courtyard. The sky is just beginning to lighten from black to a deep indigo, and the air is still and cold. This is where you hold your own brief morning court, as the various enslaved workers assigned to indoor duties gather for their assignments. There is no time for hesitation or debate. You direct the teams with quiet efficiency, some to sweep the floors with stiff bristled brooms and water, others to polish the bronze fittings and freshen the flowers in the reception rooms. A young boy is sent to draw the first fresh water of the day from the well, a task that must be repeated constantly until the large household jars are full. Every movement you make, every instruction you give, is measured against one unspoken rule: do not wake the family. Your virtue is your invisibility, your ability to orchestrate a symphony of preparation without a single note disturbing the master's sleep. The success of your entire day is built in these quiet pre-dawn hours. By the time the first family member stirs, the villa must appear as if it sprung to life perfectly and effortlessly on its own, a testament to your flawless management and the disciplined order you enforce. Your most critical responsibility, without question, is the management of the villa's enslaved workforce. This is where your administrative role transforms into a deeply human one, requiring a shrewd understanding of psychology and power dynamics. You are not just managing tasks, you are navigating a complex web of personalities, talents, and potential resentments. The head cook, for instance, might be a temperamental artist with a hot temper, but his skill with spices and sauces is unmatched, making him indispensable for impressing the dominus's guests. You learn to give him a wide berth in his kitchen domain, praising his successes publicly while addressing his sharp tongue with private, firm warnings. In contrast, the head gardener is a quiet, older man whose knowledge of grafting fruit trees is unparalleled. He responds not to threats but to respect, valuing your occasional consultation on the rose cuttings more than an extra ration of wine. Delegation is your primary tool, and fairness is its essential partner. You must be acutely aware of who is best suited for each meticulous job. Assigning a clumsy, inexperienced young girl to polish the family's precious silver plate would be a catastrophic mistake, inviting a scolding that would shake her confidence and damage a valuable heirloom. Instead, you entrust that sacred duty to an older, steady-handed woman whose pride is found in the flawless shine she can achieve. You also have to balance the workload to prevent murmurs of favoritism. If the same team is always sent to clean the dusty, oppressive hypocaust heating system under the floors, while another is consistently assigned to the lighter duty of arranging fresh linens, jealousy will fester. A discontented slave might not rebel openly, that could mean severe punishment, but they might accidentally break an amphora of precious wine, or, more dangerously, become a source of malicious gossip about you to the other senior servants. This is why a measured compassion, however strategic, becomes a necessity for survival. You know the names of their children. You notice when someone is nursing a fever or a sprained wrist, and you occasionally have the authority to grant a small privilege, like an extra hour of rest or a slightly larger portion of the evening pull's porridge. These acts are not merely kindness. They are investments in loyalty and smooth operation. They are a clear message that you see them as individuals, not just interchangeable pieces of property. This careful balance of firm authority and perceived goodwill is the fragile thread that holds the entire household together. A reputation for cruel and arbitrary rule makes you a target for silent, undetectable sabotage. But a reputation for fairness, while always maintaining an unbreachable distance, makes you a leader they might grudgingly respect, ensuring that when you give an order, it is carried out efficiently and without deliberate error. Your entire standing with the dominus hinges on this delicate, unspoken contract. And while the villa stirs to life around you, your focus remains fixed on its true center of gravity, the kitchen. This is far more than just a place where food is prepared. It is the engine of the household, a domain of fire, steam, and intense pressure where your logistical skills are put to the ultimate test. Your first and most constant concern is the security and management of the supplies. The grain stores, locked away in a large chest, represent the family's primary sustenance. You hold the key, both literally and figuratively, and you measure out the daily allotment for bread with meticulous care, your mind constantly calculating how many days of supply remain until the next shipment from the estate's farms. A miscalculation here wouldn't just mean a few hungry slaves. It could mean social embarrassment if the dominus suddenly found himself unable to offer bread to an important guest. The same vigilance applies to the precious amphorae of wine, olive oil, and garum. Each clay vessel is marked, its contents and age known to you. You run your hands over the seals, checking for any signs of tampering, because in a household of this size, pilfering is a constant threat. A slave might try to water down the wine to sneak a cup for themselves, or skim a little oil to trade in the market for a small personal luxury. Your sharp eye and unpredictable inventory checks are the only things standing between order and a slow leak of valuable resources. It's a delicate balance. You must be ever watchful without creating an atmosphere of such oppressive suspicion that it stifles the entire staff. Then comes the most personal and perilous of your kitchen duties, the pre-service tasting. Before any dish reaches the family's table, it is brought to you. You sample each one not for pleasure, but for protection. Is the flavor balanced? Is the meat cooked through? Most critically, does anything taste unusual or spoiled? In a world without modern food safety, the threat of foodborne illness, or even deliberate poisoning, is very real. Your palate is the final barrier, and a single error in judgment could have devastating consequences. This act is a profound symbol of your role. You physically interpose yourself between the household and potential harm. Your planning extends far beyond daily meals. You are constantly thinking in seasons, coordinating with the villicus of the rural farm estate to understand what will be harvested and when. The summer glut of figs and grapes means you must immediately direct the kitchen staff in the art of preservation, drying the fruits in the sun, fermenting the grapes into vinegar, or reducing them into defrutum, a sweet syrup. A successful boar hunt means organizing the salting and smoking of meat to last for months. Your ability to transform perishable abundance into lasting security is what ensures the villa's comfort continues, uninterrupted through the leaner winter months. Every decision you make in this hot, bustling room echoes through the entire household, directly impacting the health, happiness, and social standing of the family you serve. Their satisfaction is the measure of your success, and their displeasure could spell the end of your privileged position. But your oversight extends far beyond the kitchen's heat to encompass the very appearance of the villa itself, for in the Roman world, cleanliness was not merely a matter of comfort. It was a powerful, visible declaration of status and moral virtue. A dusty atrium or a tarnished silver mirror spoke of negligence, a failing that would bring shame upon the entire household. Your daily inspection is therefore a ritual of immense importance, a meticulous scrutiny of every visible and invisible surface. You move through the reception rooms, your fingers lightly brushing across the intricate tesserae of the mosaic floors, feeling for any grit that the sweeping crew might have missed. These floors were not cleaned with modern chemicals, but with simple, effective tools. Brooms made of stiff twigs bound together to scrape away debris, followed by washing with water and perhaps a solution of vinegar and ash for a brighter shine on the more valuable stone inlays. Your gaze sweeps upward, checking the vibrant frescoes on the walls for any new cracks or signs of dampness that could spoil the depictions of gods and myths. You ensure the wax tablets and scrolls in the master's study are dusted with a soft cloth, and that the bronze statues of ancestors are polished to a warm glow. Even the household shrine, the lararium, receives your attention. You make certain the small figurines of the lares are clean and that fresh offerings of fruit or incense are present, as a neglected shrine could bring bad fortune to the entire family. This is a world where pests are a constant battle, and part of your duty is to watch for the telltale signs of insects or rodents, directing slaves to set traps or apply strong-smelling herbs like pennyroyal to deter them from the grain stores and linens. The laundry, or phylonica, is another critical station under your command. This was no simple task in ancient Rome. Stains were treated with aged urine collected from public toilets, the ammonia acting as a powerful bleaching agent, and clothes were trampled by feet in large vats before being rinsed, dried, and meticulously checked for damage. You personally inspect the finished tunics and togas, ensuring they are not only clean but also perfectly pressed with heavy hot irons, and perhaps even lightly perfumed with lavender or rose petals stored in sachets among the folds. A perfectly presented toga on the dominus was a silent testament to your efficiency, a public symbol of his wealth and your unerring competence. Every gleaming surface, every sweet-smelling room, every perfectly made bed was a brick in the wall of the family's reputation, and you were the master builder ensuring not a single one was out of place. Among all the objects under your care, none are as intensely personal or as fraught with risk as the family's private valuables. This responsibility extends far beyond simple tidiness. It is a sacred bond of trust that places the family's material worth and intimate history directly in your hands. Your first and most solemn duty each morning is to the locked wooden chests and heavy cabinets that hold these treasures. The metallic clink of the key turning in the lock is a sound that signifies the weight of your office. You are not merely opening a box. You are assuming guardianship. Inside, the world of the domina is laid bare. There are intricately carved gold and silver hairpins, some set with precious pearls or vibrant pieces of glass meant to mimic emeralds and sapphires. Heavy necklaces of gold chain and delicate earrings rest on soft cloth, each piece representing a significant financial investment and a marker of social standing. Your fingers know each item by touch and sight, and your daily inventory is a methodical, unhurried ritual. You count them, you note their condition, and you ensure that not a single piece is missing or out of place. A lost earring isn't just a lost object. It is a potential catastrophe that could shatter the trust you have spent years building. In a household filled with people, a missing item immediately points to theft, and as the keeper of the keys, you would be the first and most obvious suspect. Your entire reputation, your position of comfort and authority, hinges on this flawless daily accounting. But your role is not just that of a passive guard. You are also a preserver. Fine wool and linen garments, especially the domina's elaborate stolas and the dominus's formal toga, require constant attention. You inspect them for loose threads, small tears, or any faint beginnings of a stain. A snagged hem from a walk in the garden must be meticulously restitched before it unravels further. You know which fabrics can be freshened by being hung in the steam of the kitchen, and which must be carefully aired out in the courtyard. For the family's most important documents, wax tablets recording business contracts, or even the rare and expensive papyrus scrolls containing the family's legal history, your duty is to protect them from the elements. You check that they are stored away from any potential dampness, and that the wax surfaces are smooth and unmarred. These are not just papers, they are the legal and social identity of the entire household, and their preservation is paramount. This intimate access creates a unique and complicated relationship. You know which piece of jewelry the dominer received from her mother, and which ring the dominus prizes above all others from a successful business deal. You are privy to their financial state through the quality and quantity of the items you guard. This knowledge is a form of power, but it is also an immense vulnerability. It requires a discretion so complete it becomes a part of your character. You see everything and say nothing. You might notice a new, expensive bracelet appear after a secret meeting, or a familiar piece vanish, perhaps to pay a quiet debt. These are secrets you must bury deep, for giving voice to them, even in a whisper to another servant, could be interpreted as treason against the family. Your vigilance, therefore, is twofold. You protect the objects themselves from physical loss or damage, and you protect the secrets they tell from ever leaving this locked room. Your success is measured in silence and the unwavering certainty that when the domina asks for her favorite amber necklace, it is exactly where it should be, perfectly maintained, and ready to adorn the identity she presents to the world. Yet all these daily responsibilities, as immense as they are, pale in comparison to the ultimate test of your skill and composure, the night of a grand banquet. When the dominus decides to host a formal cena, your entire world shifts into a higher gear of precision and pressure. You are no longer just a manager. You are the unseen maestro of an elaborate performance where every detail, from the scent of the flowers to the timing of the wine service, is a note in a symphony designed to proclaim the family's wealth and sophistication. The planning begins days, sometimes weeks, in advance. Your first task is a detailed consultation with the dominus himself. You present him with menus, suggesting dishes that will showcase both the estate's bounty and his own global connections. This is where you might propose something truly spectacular, perhaps a roast peacock. served with its full, brilliant plumage meticulously reattached, or a platter of oysters, freshly transported at great expense from the coast in barrels of salt water. Securing these exotic ingredients becomes your personal mission, sending trusted messengers to the market or to specialist purveyors, and negotiating fiercely to get the best quality without completely bankrupting the household coffers. With the menu approved, your focus splits into a dozen different directions. The logistics alone are a monumental puzzle. How many guests will be reclining in the triclinium? You must confirm the exact number to arrange the 3 couches correctly, ensuring they are draped with the finest covers and that each has a small side table for drinks. The seating arrangement is a diplomatic minefield in itself, dictated by the strict social hierarchy of Roman society. You work from a list provided by the dominus, placing the most honored guest in the position of highest esteem and carefully arranging the others to avoid placing bitter rivals or social unequals too close together. A single error in placement could cause a devastating social offense, a failure that would reflect directly on your master and, by extension, on you. The household staff, normally a well-oiled machine, must be retrained for the night's specific rituals. You hold rehearsals, briefing the serving slaves on the exact order of service for each of the many courses. They must know to pour the best vintage wine from the right, to offer water for hand washing between courses without spilling a drop on a guest, and to move with a silent, unobtrusive grace that makes them almost like spirits. You drill them on carrying heavy silver trays without a tremble, and on responding to the slightest gesture from a guest without needing to be called. Their uniforms, clean, simple tunics, are inspected one final time. Meanwhile, you coordinate with the hired entertainment, a melancholic poet reciting verses of love and loss, or a skilled cithara player providing a soft musical backdrop. You brief them on when to perform, for how long, and where to stand to be heard without being a distraction. On the day of the banquet, the atmosphere in the villa is one of controlled chaos, and you are the calm at its center. Your voice is low and steady, a constant stream of quiet instructions and confirmations. You make a final tour of the triclinium, your eyes missing nothing. Is the lighting from the oil lamps perfectly flattering? Are the fresh rose petals scattered artfully across the couches? You personally taste every dish that comes from the kitchen one last time, not just for safety, but for temperature and presentation. As the first guests are announced, you take your position in the shadows of a colonnade, your wax tablet in hand. You are everywhere and nowhere, observing the flow of the evening. You signal silently for the next course to be brought out the moment the previous one is cleared. You notice a guest's cup is empty and motion for a server to fill it. You catch a dropped napkin and have it replaced before anyone notices. The goal is utter perfection, a seamless, magical evening where every desire is anticipated and every need met without a single command being uttered. The guests should leave believing the dominus possesses a household that runs on its own impeccable accord, a testament to his good fortune. And only you, standing in the quiet aftermath amidst the empty wine cups and wilting flowers, will know the truth that it was your relentless attention, your quiet authority, and your invisible hand that crafted that illusion of effortless grandeur. Your command over the villa extends into a realm that would be instantly recognizable to any modern manager, the meticulous world of finances and budgets. While the grand banquets and polished silver might capture the imagination, it's your careful accounting that ensures the entire operation remains solvent. Your primary tools for this are deceptively simple: a set of wax tablets and a wooden abacus, its beads worn smooth from constant use. With these, you track every single coin that enters and leaves the household, transforming you into the villa's chief financial officer. Each morning, after your initial rounds, you retreat to a small, quiet corner of the administration office to review the day's expected expenses. Your wax tablet is covered in neat, precise scratches, a running ledger of obligations. There might be a payment due to the blacksmith for reforging a plowshare for the farm, a sum set aside for the fuller who is collecting the soiled linens, and, of course, the daily allowance for the market. You calculate the necessary funds with the abacus, the soft clicking of the beads, a familiar soundtrack to your concentration. This isn't just arithmetic, it's a strategic allocation of resources. You must ensure the kitchen has enough to purchase the finest fish for the master's table, while also reserving coin for the unexpected, a broken cart axle, or a sudden need for extra lamp oil if guests stay late. A significant part of your week is dedicated to a trip to the local market, but this is no leisurely stroll. You go with a specific list and a guarded purse. Here, your role shifts from accountant to negotiator. Roman markets are vibrant, chaotic places where the initial asking price is merely a suggestion. You move from stall to stall, your experienced eye judging the quality of vegetables, the freshness of meat, and the clarity of oil. You know the merchants, and they know you, a representative of a wealthy household, but a notoriously sharp one. You haggle with a firm politeness, pointing out a slight bruise on a pomegranate, or reminding the wine seller that you buy from him in bulk, month after month. Every sestertius you save is a victory, a testament to your value. You are constantly balancing quality with economy, knowing that serving inferior goods is unacceptable, but frivolous spending is a mark of poor management. This financial vigilance means you are the gatekeeper against the temptation of luxury. The domina might develop a sudden desire for a new piece of Tyrian purple dye, an extravagance that costs a fortune. Or the dominus might impulsively wish to acquire an expensive Greek statue from a visiting merchant. It falls to you to gently, and with utmost respect, provide a reality check. You might pull out your tablets and show him the recent outlay for the new vineyard or the upcoming tax payment, suggesting a slight delay or a more modest alternative. Your ability to present financial constraints not as criticism, but as prudent stewardship, is a delicate art. You must protect the family from its own impulses without ever appearing to undermine their authority. All of this meticulous record-keeping culminates in your regular financial reports to the dominus. This is perhaps your most nerve-wracking duty. You stand before him, your wax tablets in hand, and present a clear summary of income primarily from the estate's farms versus the household's expenditures. You detail where the money has gone, justifying major expenses and highlighting your savings. He trusts your numbers implicitly, for they are the foundation upon which his wealth and social standing are built. A wealthy Roman villa was not a bottomless purse. It was a complex economic engine that could easily slide into debt through poor management, a crop failure, or excessive spending. Your clear-eyed accounting is the early warning system that prevents disaster. In your hands, the humble wax tablet becomes the most powerful tool in the house, more vital than any sword, for it holds the key to the family's continued prosperity and your own irreplaceable role in securing it. Despite your best efforts to maintain perfect order, a Roman villa is a living entity, and life within its walls is unpredictable. Your true worth as a housekeeper is proven not during the smooth, predictable days, but in the chaotic moments when crisis erupts without warning. In these moments, Your calm authority becomes the single most important asset the family possesses, and your ability to manage the unexpected discreetly and efficiently is what cements their absolute trust in you. A sudden kitchen fire is one of the most terrifying possibilities. The roar of flames igniting a grease-spattered cloth or a pile of dry kindling is a sound that freezes the blood. There is no time for panic. Your voice must cut through the screams, issuing clear, immediate commands. You direct slaves to form a bucket brigade from the nearest water source, while others are ordered to smother smaller flames with heavy woolen blankets. Your mind races through the logistics, ensuring the fire doesn't spread to the precious dry goods in the storeroom, moving terrified junior staff out of the way, and assessing the damage to equipment. All of this must happen in a matter of heartbeats, and when the dominus comes running, alarmed by the commotion, your report must be calm and collected, downplaying the danger while assuring him the situation is under your complete control. A successfully managed fire leaves little evidence, just a lingering smell of smoke and a story of your quick thinking that will be told for weeks. Health emergencies among the staff present a different kind of challenge, one that blends compassion with harsh practicality. A slave collapsing from a fever in the courtyard or slicing their hand open while butchering meat requires immediate triage. You are the first responder, assessing the severity of the injury or illness. For a deep cut, you send for your kit of clean linen strips, honey for its antiseptic properties, and vinegar to clean the wound, all while keeping the injured person calm. A contagious fever, however, is a strategic nightmare. You must isolate the sick individual immediately to prevent an outbreak that could incapacitate half your workforce and potentially spread to the family. This means rearranging sleeping quarters on the fly, designating a specific enslaved person to care for them, and ensuring their meals are delivered separately. You quietly consult with the most knowledgeable herbalist among the staff, perhaps an older woman who knows which poultices can reduce a fever or which teas soothe a cough. Your primary concern is always the continued operation of the villa. A single illness cannot be allowed to halt the machinery of the household. You manage the human cost while shielding the family from any worry or inconvenience, handling the crisis in the background so their world remains undisturbed. Perhaps the most common and subtly stressful emergency is the unannounced arrival of a high-status guest. The sound of a carriage on the gravel drive, when no one was expected, sends a ripple of quiet alarm through the house. This is not a social faux pas for you. It is a logistical earthquake. Your mind instantly maps a new critical path. You send a swift, silent signal to a trusted attendant to alert the dominus and domina while you spring into action. The guest room, which may have been in a state of casual upkeep, must be transformed into a state of perfect readiness in minutes. You direct one team to sweep and dust, another to lay out fresh linens and towels, and another to ensure a carafe of water and a small platter of fruit or nuts is presented. Simultaneously, you descend upon the kitchen, where the cook looks at you with wide eyes. The evening meal, perhaps a simple family affair, must now be elevated. You authorize the immediate unlocking of a better vintage of wine, the preparation of a more elaborate appetizer, perhaps a dish involving the prized dormice preserved in honey. You might send a quick-footed slave running to a neighboring vendor to procure a fresh fish or a special cheese. Every action is calculated to create the illusion that this level of lavish hospitality is your household's effortless norm, that you were anticipating their visit all along. The guest should feel welcomed and honored, completely unaware of the frantic, silent ballet of preparation their arrival just triggered. Your reward is the dominus's nod of approval later, a silent acknowledgement that you once again turned potential chaos into a showcase of his prestige and your unparalleled competence. Your entire existence within the villa hinges on the delicate, ever-shifting dynamic you maintain with the master and mistress of the house. This is not a simple relationship of command and obedience. It is an intricate dance of power, perception, and unspoken understanding. You stand in a unique space, perched between the world of the enslaved and the world of the elite, trusted with their deepest secrets yet constantly reminded of your station. Your daily interactions with the dominus and domina are a masterclass in social navigation, where a single misstep in tone or timing could undo years of built trust. Your primary contact is almost always with the dominus, the patriarchal head of the household. Your meetings with him are formal, scheduled events, often held in his tablinum, the small office where he manages the broader affairs of his estate and investments. You approach not as a friend, but as the chief executive of his domestic operations reporting to the board. You present your wax tablets, detailing the inventory levels, the week's expenditures from the market, and any staffing issues that require his attention. He listens, his expression often inscrutable, and delivers his instructions with a cool efficiency. He expects you to be a fountain of information, able to answer any question he might fire at you instantly. How many jars of Spanish olive oil remain? Is the new Gaulish slave working out in the stables? Remind me of the name of the cook's assistant, the one who prepared the excellent lamb last week. Your ability to recall every minute detail is a testament to your competence and reinforces his confidence in you. Yet within this formal structure, there is room for you to wield subtle influence. This is where your role transforms from passive recorder to active advisor. The dominus might ponder aloud about the menu for an upcoming dinner. You listen carefully and then, with measured respect, offer a suggestion. The peacock would be a magnificent display of your generosity, Domine, though I might note that the merchant from Pompeii has just received a shipment of exceptionally large turbot, a rarity that would also greatly impress your guests. You are not telling him what to do. You are providing him with the best possible information to make a decision that flatters his status. He relies on your expertise, your finger on the pulse of the household's capabilities, and the local market's offerings. A wise dominus values this counsel, knowing that your sole purpose is to make his life run more smoothly and his public image more brilliant. Your success makes his success possible. The relationship with the domina, the mistress of the house, operates on a different frequency, often more personal and just as politically complex. Her domain is the private sphere of the family, the children, the wardrobe, the social engagements with other elite matrons. Your interactions with her are frequent and cover the minutiae of domestic life. She might summon you to discuss the preparations for a journey to their coastal villa, or to express concern that her daughter's new woolen stola is itching her skin. Here, your expertise is not just logistical but also tactile and sensory. You must know fabrics, perfumes, and the subtleties of Roman fashion. You might suggest a liner of softer Egyptian cotton for the stola, or recommend a different blend of herbs for the trunks storing her winter cloaks. Navigating their occasional disagreements requires the diplomacy of a seasoned ambassador. The domina might desire an extravagant new mural for her private quarters, while the dominus, upon hearing the cost from you, might deem it an unnecessary expense. You are the messenger caught in the middle, and your survival depends on your ability to present each position without appearing to take a side. To the domina, you might express understanding for her desire for beauty and promise to carefully research more affordable artisans. To the dominus, you might frame the mural not as a frivolity, but as a necessary enhancement to the villa's value and a reflection of his wife's esteemed taste, perhaps suggesting a phased approach to the cost. Your goal is to help them find a compromise that leaves both feeling heard and respected, all while ensuring you never seem to be the source of the conflict yourself. Perhaps the most treacherous aspect of this relationship is managing their moods. The dominus might return from the forum frustrated by a failed business deal, his temper shorter than usual. The domina might be anxious about an upcoming social event, her instructions becoming sharp and inconsistent. In these moments, your emotional composure is your shield. You learn to read the atmosphere of a room the moment you enter it. You deliver your reports with even greater clarity and brevity. You offer solutions instead of problems. And you make yourself indispensable by anticipating needs before they are voiced. Bringing the dominus his favorite cup of wine without being asked after a difficult day, or ensuring the domina's favorite soothing lavender oil is added to her bathwater during a stressful time. These small, perceptive acts are the currency of your relationship. They signal a loyalty that goes beyond duty, a personal investment in their well-being that helps to humanize you in their eyes and solidifies your irreplaceable role at the very heart of their world. But your responsibilities reach far beyond the management of objects and adults. They extend into the most vital and vulnerable part of the household, the children. If the dominus and domina have young heirs, your role transforms into that of a chief guardian, a silent shepherd overseeing every facet of their development. The health, education, and moral formation of these children are not merely a parental concern. They are the very future of the family's lineage, wealth, and social standing. A sickly or poorly educated heir is a threat to the entire dynasty, and you are the first line of defense against such a catastrophe. Your day includes a dedicated inspection of the nursery, a sunlit room often located in the most secure and peaceful part of the villa. Here, your interaction is primarily with the nutrix, the nursemaid. This woman, often an older enslaved or freedwoman, is the child's constant companion, and your relationship with her is built on a foundation of intense scrutiny and mutual necessity. You observe her interactions, ensuring her attentiveness is unwavering. Is she gently engaging the toddler with simple wooden toys or carved animals? Does she respond to his cries with immediate comfort? You check the cleanliness of the linens and the temperature of the goat's or cow's milk, often considered safer than a mother's milk by some wealthy Romans, that is warmed for the child's meals. You are watching for any sign of neglect, not out of personal affection alone, but because the child's physical well-being is a precious asset you are charged with protecting. As the children grow out of infancy, your oversight expands to include their early education. You are the liaison between the family and the pedagogus, the enslaved tutor, often an educated Greek, who is responsible for the child's daily lessons. Your task is to ensure his methods are effective and his discipline is measured. You might discreetly listen from a hallway as he drills the boy in his Greek vocabulary or guides his little hand in forming letters on a wax tablet. You report back to the dominus on the child's progress, noting if he struggles with his numbers or shows a particular aptitude for recitation. You also ensure the tutor maintains the proper balance of sternness and encouragement. A teacher who is too harsh might break the child's spirit, while one who is too lenient might allow laziness to take root. Perhaps your most critical duty is the meticulous management of their diet and health. In an era with high child mortality, every sniffle is a potential crisis. You work closely with the nutrix and the family's trusted physician, if they have one, to enforce a strict regimen believed to promote robust health. This means supervising the preparation of their meals, simple, strengthening foods like bread, eggs, soft cheeses, and cooked vegetables, avoiding rich or overly spiced dishes thought to upset a young constitution. You are the one who authorizes the addition of a little wine to their water, a common practice believed to purify it, and you ensure their daily routine includes supervised play in the fresh air of the peristyle garden for strength and sunlight. When illness does strike, your managerial skills are put to the ultimate test. A child's fever becomes your central preoccupation. You clear your schedule to personally monitor their condition, directing the nursemaid to apply cool cloths and preparing the bitter herbal tonics prescribed by the doctor. You station a slave at the door to ensure quiet throughout the villa and personally taste any broth or medicine before it is given to the child. Your detailed updates to the anxious parents are a masterclass in measured reassurance. You provide clear facts without inciting panic, projecting a calm competence that is their only anchor in the storm. Your successful navigation of a childhood illness, bringing the heir back to full health, cements your value more than any perfectly executed banquet ever could. In safeguarding the children, you are not just preserving the family's legacy, you are protecting its very heart, and in doing so, you secure your own indispensable place within it. Beyond the bustling kitchen and the endless accounts lies a responsibility that transcends the merely practical, touching the spiritual heart of the home. As the chief steward, you are also the chief guardian of the family's relationship with the divine. The Romans lived in a world deeply interwoven with the supernatural, where the success of the household depended not just on efficient management, but on the favor of the gods. Your most sacred duty, therefore, is the meticulous observance of the rituals at the family shrine, the lararium. This small, ornate niche, often found in the atrium or near the hearth, is the dwelling place of the lares and penates, the protective spirits of the ancestors and the guardians of the pantry. Their goodwill is not a vague hope. It is a necessity that must be earned through daily, unwavering devotion. Your morning rounds are incomplete without this spiritual stop. The ritual is both simple and profoundly significant. You, or a trusted slave you designate under your watchful eye, approach the shrine with a quiet reverence. The offerings are humble yet symbolic. A few grains of wheat or a small cake of spelt to represent sustenance and prosperity. A few drops of fine wine poured as a libation to honor the gods, or perhaps a few granules of fragrant incense whose smoke is believed to carry prayers directly to the heavens. As you place these gifts before the small bronze statuettes of the household gods, you might murmur a traditional prayer, a formulaic request for their continued protection over the family, the slaves, and the entire estate. This is not a loud or emotional display. It is a quiet, contractual obligation, a daily renewal of the sacred pact between the mortal family and their divine protectors. The consequences of neglecting this duty are not merely spiritual abstractions. They are believed to be immediate and tangible. A forgotten offering or a ritual performed with haste and disrespect is an open invitation for misfortune. The Romans interpreted setbacks through this lens. If a prized horse went lame, if a sudden illness swept through the servant quarters, or if a valuable amphora of oil cracked without explanation, the first question asked would be about the state of the lararium. Had the rituals been properly maintained, as the housekeeper, you would be held directly accountable. Your competence is measured not only in full grain stores and polished silver, but in the perceived favor of the gods. A run of bad luck could easily be interpreted as divine displeasure. and your position would be in grave jeopardy. This intertwining of domestic management and divine obligation means your role is as much priestess as it is executive, a constant reminder that your authority extends into both the visible and invisible worlds that sustain the villa's existence. Your responsibilities stretch far beyond the marble walls and tiled roofs of the main house, extending into the vibrant, living world of the villa's productive grounds. Stepping into the garden is like entering a different kind of treasury, one where wealth is measured in ripening fruit, fragrant herbs, and the hum of industrious bees. This is not a decorative space meant solely for leisure. It is a crucial engine of the household's economy and well-being, and its success falls squarely on your shoulders. Your morning rounds take you along gravel paths bordered by raised beds, your experienced eye scanning the orderly rows of plants. Here, the culinary garden provides the kitchen's daily essentials: pungent rosemary and thyme to flavor stews, delicate coriander leaves for garnishes, and onions and leeks whose sharp scent fills the air as they grow fat in the sun. Every plant has a purpose, and you note their progress, directing the gardener to harvest the lettuce before it bolts in the heat, or to carefully tie up the heavy vines of grapes beginning to swell on their trellises. But the gardens serve a far more complex purpose than just feeding the family. You also oversee the medicinal and decorative plots, each a specialized domain. In one sheltered corner, the gardener cultivates plants for the household's health: pungent mint to soothe upset stomachs, vibrant marigolds whose petals can be made into a salve for wounds, and soothing aloe vera for burns. In another area, flowers are grown not for eating, but for elevating the family's status. You ensure a constant supply of vibrant roses, violets, and lilies to be cut and arranged in vases for the reception rooms. Their bright colors and sweet perfumes, a silent, beautiful announcement of the family's refinement and ability to dedicate precious land and labor to pure beauty. You coordinate with the domina on the types of flowers she prefers for her personal quarters, or for weaving into the elaborate wreaths guests will wear at banquets. The true measure of the villa's self-sufficiency, however, is found in the livestock under your care. A quick walk to the more utilitarian areas of the estate brings you to the henhouse, a bustling enclosure of clucking chickens and proud roosters. The collection of warm, brown eggs each morning is a small daily triumph, a direct contribution to the pantry that you personally account for. You check that the birds are healthy and well protected from predators like foxes or weasels, knowing that a drop in egg production would mean an unwanted expense at the market. Further out, you might hear the bleating of a small flock of goats. These hardy animals are less for meat and more for their milk, which is transformed by the kitchen staff into creamy cheese or stored for drinking. You ensure their enclosure is secure and that they have enough browse, their well-being a direct investment in a valuable, renewable resource. Perhaps the most specialized and magical of your charges are the bees. Their woven hives are placed in a quiet, sun-drenched corner of the property, away from heavy foot traffic. The honey they produce is nothing short of liquid gold, a precious sweetener in a world without refined sugar, a base for healing balms, and a key ingredient in the finest wines and desserts. You respect the beekeeper, a skilled enslaved worker who knows how to gently smoke the hives and harvest the honeycomb without provoking the swarm. You receive his reports on the health of the colonies and the yield of each harvest, authorizing the careful straining and storage of the amber honey in sealed ceramic jars. A successful hive is a sign of the gods' favor and your prudent management, its sweet bounty a luxury that adds immense prestige to the family's table. Every egg collected, every wheel of cheese formed, and every jar of honey sealed is a testament to your role not just as a manager of people, but as a steward of the land, ensuring the villa doesn't just consume wealth, but actively generates it from its own soil. And woven through all these threads of management, from the kitchen fires to the quiet prayers, is perhaps your most delicate task of all, the handling of information itself. In a world without telephones or email, you become the central switchboard for all communication flowing in and out of the villa. Your role extends far beyond a simple messenger. Your literacy and unwavering discretion transform you into the trusted gatekeeper of the family's most private words and worldly affairs. The arrival of a scroll, delivered by a dusty courier from Rome or a neighboring town, is an event that you personally oversee. You receive it, feeling the weight of the papyrus or the wax seals, and you immediately assess its importance based on the sender's mark and the quality of the materials. A formal letter on fine papyrus, sealed with an intricate signet ring, demands immediate attention. A less polished tablet might be a routine business update that can wait for the dominus's scheduled meeting time. This is where your education, a rare and prized asset for someone in your position, becomes your most powerful tool. While many in the household are illiterate, you can read and write. This doesn't just mean you can decipher the words on a scroll. It means you are entrusted to understand their context and nuance. The domina, who may be highly educated herself, might still call upon you to be her scribe. She might summon you to her chambers, pacing as she composes a response to a social rival, her words carefully chosen to convey exactly the right mix of warmth and superiority. You sit with your stylus and wax tablet, capturing her dictation with flawless accuracy, your face a mask of neutral concentration. You might even be asked to read incoming correspondence aloud to her, your voice steady as you articulate the gossip from a friend or the subtle negotiations in a letter from a potential marriage ally for her daughter. In these moments, you are not just a servant. You are a confidante, a witness to the intricate social chess game played by the elite. For the dominus, your role is equally vital but often more transactional. His world runs on business deals, legal agreements, and political maneuvering. You are the one who prepares drafts of his letters to business partners, your wax tablets filled with his dictated terms for a shipment of grain or the purchase of a new parcel of land. You ensure the language is precise and legally sound before it is transcribed onto more permanent material and sent. When replies arrive, you are the first to read them, filtering the essential information. You learn to quickly summarize a lengthy report, highlighting the key price offered or the condition of a property, allowing him to make swift decisions without wading through every detail. This access makes you privy to the family's complete financial picture, their ambitions, their fears, and their secret strategies. You know which debts are pressing, which alliances are strong, and which investments are risky long before the rest of the household has an inkling. This position as the informational hub also places you at the front line of the villa's social world. You manage the stream of visitors, from the morning salutatio where clients come to pay their respects to the dominus, to the more formal afternoon calls among social equals. A slave stationed at the door announces a visitor's name, and you must instantly recall their status, their relationship to the family, and whether they are to be welcomed immediately, asked to wait, or politely turned away with a credible excuse you invent on the spot. You are the master of the gracious deflection, skilled at protecting your master's time without causing offense. You might tell an ambitious but unimportant caller that the dominus is deeply immersed in accounts and cannot be disturbed, while simultaneously ushering a high-ranking magistrate directly into his study. You also control the flow of invitations, tracking the complex social calendar of dinners and recitals, ensuring acceptances and regrets are sent promptly and that the family is never double booked or, worse, absent from a crucial event. Every piece of information you handle, every message you relay, is filtered through your profound understanding of social hierarchy and family politics. A single misstep, a letter delivered to the wrong person, a message phrased too bluntly, or a secret accidentally revealed could have devastating social consequences. Your power lies in this control of knowledge, and your security depends on your absolute, proven silence. Yet your most significant power lies not in the threat of punishment, but in your carefully calculated ability to reward. A system based solely on fear breeds resentment and encourages only the bare minimum of effort. Your goal is to cultivate loyalty and inspire excellence, and you achieve this through a strategic economy of privileges. A hardworking stable hand who has gone the extra month without a single reprimand might find an extra portion of meat in his evening Pole's porridge, a small but deeply appreciated luxury. A maid who has shown exceptional skill in weaving might be granted the coveted privilege of working on a personal project with the leftover wool scraps, perhaps to make a small blanket for her own child in the slave quarters. These rewards are never given arbitrarily. They are public, deliberate, and tied directly to observable merit. You make it clear to the entire staff why the reward was earned, turning the individual's success into a lesson and an aspiration for everyone else. This practice transforms you from a mere enforcer into a patron, someone who recognizes and values good work. The slave who feels seen and appreciated is far more likely to take genuine pride in their duties, to watch for ways to be helpful, and to become a reliable pillar of the household you both serve. This careful balance of discipline and reward is the invisible framework upon which the entire villa's harmony depends. It is a daily demonstration of your understanding that these individuals, though legally property, are human beings whose hearts and minds must be skillfully managed to achieve the flawless order the dominus demands. Despite your overarching authority, the world of the enslaved individuals under your command is not a monolith. It is a complex, often tense society with its own rigid hierarchies and unspoken rules that you must navigate with the skill of a diplomat. The villa's slave community is a microcosm of the Roman world itself, where status is fiercely guarded and carefully negotiated. At the top of this internal ladder are the skilled artisans and personal attendants, the Greek tutor whose education earns him a grudging respect, the head cook whose culinary talents grant him a fierce autonomy in his kitchen kingdom, and the dominus personal hairdresser, whose intimacy with the mistress affords her a level of influence most can only dream of. Just below them are the specialized indoor staff, the trusted scribes, the silver polishers, the chief laundress. Then come the general household workers who clean, fetch water, and serve meals. At the very bottom, often physically and socially separated, are the field hands and those who perform the most punishing labor, like maintaining the hypocaust heating system or cleaning the latrines. Your challenge is to manage the inevitable friction that arises from this ingrained social stratification. A personal attendant, basking in the reflected glory of their master, might begin to order around a hard-working kitchen maid, creating resentment that boils over into deliberate mistakes. A lukewarm meal delivered to that attendant, or a clean tunic accidentally dropped in the dirt. You must intervene in these conflicts with a dispassionate eye, judging not on personal likes or dislikes, but on what will best serve the household's smooth operation. You might pull the haughty attendant aside for a quiet but firm reminder that their status is contingent on the dominus' favor, not their own inherent power, and that disrupting the kitchen's workflow ultimately reflects poorly on the entire household, including them. To the kitchen staff, you might reinforce the chain of command, reminding them that their duty is to the head cook and to you, not to every passing slave who issues a demand. Perhaps your most subtle task is preventing the formation of powerful, divisive cliques. Bonds of nationality, language, or shared tasks are natural and can even be beneficial, creating support networks that ease the hardships of servitude. A group of Thracian slaves might find comfort in speaking their native tongue together in the evenings, while the Greek-speaking staff might bond over a shared cultural heritage. But when these groups become exclusionary and turn against others, they become a threat. You keep a watchful ear for the gossip that circulates after dark, listening for rumors that pit one group against another, perhaps accusations that the Gaulish stable hands are receiving larger rations or that the Egyptian weavers are being given preferential treatment with lighter workloads. Allowing such divisions to fester risks the kind of silent, coordinated sabotage that is impossible to trace a stretched thread that causes a tunic to unravel, a gate left slightly ajar allowing livestock to escape, or a crucial piece of kitchen equipment that goes mysteriously missing right before a banquet. Your strategy for maintaining harmony is a continuous balancing act of perception and action. You rotate teams for certain unpleasant tasks to prevent any one group from feeling uniquely targeted. You make a point of publicly praising a lowly floor scrubber for their thorough work just as often as you compliment the esteemed tutor, reinforcing the idea that every role, no matter how humble, is vital to the whole. You might even orchestrate small, shared celebrations after the successful completion of a major event, like a harvest or a grand dinner, authorizing an extra distribution of wine or a special sweet dish for everyone, fostering a fleeting but crucial sense of communal achievement. Your goal is to make every individual, from the most privileged to the most downtrodden, feel that their fair treatment and the overall peace of the household are inextricably linked to your own fair judgment. In doing so, you transform a collection of disparate individuals bound by force into a more cohesive, if never perfect, community, ensuring that the engine of the villa hums with a minimum of destructive internal friction. But the rhythm of your management is never static. It must bend and flow with the turning of the year. Your most critical skill is your ability to look ahead, to read the signs of the changing seasons, and prepare the entire household for the challenges each one brings. The Roman calendar is your sacred text, a cycle of agricultural necessity and religious observance that dictates the tempo of life within the villa's walls. As the heat of summer begins to wane and the first hints of gold appear on the grapevines, your mind is already leaping forward to winter. This is the season of urgent preservation. The kitchen becomes a frantic, steamy hub of activity under your direction. Every basket of fruit from the orchard, every load of vegetables from the garden, must be processed immediately. You oversee the drying of figs and plums on racks in the hot sun, the careful sealing of honey in clay jars, and the transformation of countless grapes into wine and vinegar in large fermentation vats. The successful hunts from the surrounding woods mean vast quantities of boar and venison must be salted, smoked, or packed in brine in large amphorae, their pungent, savory smell permeating the air. Your storerooms, the cella panaria, must be filled to bursting, a tangible buffer against the lean, cold months ahead. A single early frost or a missed calculation could mean hunger before the spring. The arrival of winter itself transforms your daily priorities. Keeping the vast stone villa warm becomes a logistical obsession. Weeks before the first real chill, you have already directed teams of stronger slaves to begin the monumental task of stockpiling firewood. This is backbreaking labor, felling trees on the estate's woodland, splitting the logs, and stacking them in enormous, neat piles that become a fortress of fuel next to the kitchen. Your daily inventory now includes a careful count of these logs, a constant calculation against the remaining winter days. Inside, your focus shifts to the villa's advanced but demanding hypocaust heating system. You ensure the underground furnaces are clean and in good repair, and you supervise the slaves whose sole soot-covered job is to constantly feed the roaring fires that channel warm air under the floors and through the walls. It is a dangerous, vital task, and you are ever watchful for any sign of a crack in the flues that could fill the house with smoke or, worse, spark a devastating fire. Your morning rounds include placing your hand on the marble walls, feeling for the gentle, life-sustaining warmth that signals the system is functioning properly, ensuring the family never feels the bite of the cold. Then, as the ice finally begins to thaw and the first brave green shoots push through the wet earth, the entire mood of the villa shifts towards renewal. This is the season of the Matronalia, the festival in honor of the goddess Juno, which celebrates not only the rebirth of the year, but also the virtues of Roman matrons. For you, this sacred holiday is less a celebration and more the catalyst for the largest, most thorough organizational project of the year, the Great Spring Cleaning. This is no simple tidying up. It is a ritual purification of the entire household. You orchestrate a full-scale mobilization of the entire staff. Every piece of furniture is moved, every tapestry and wall hanging is taken down and beaten free of a year's worth of dust, and every mosaic floor is scrubbed on hands and knees with water, vinegar, and sand until it gleams. The household linens are all washed, the storerooms are completely reorganized, and the air itself is freshened by throwing open every shutter and door to the crisp spring air. You ensure that the slaves tasked with these duties receive an extra portion of wine and food, a small reward for their exhaustive labor that helps maintain morale during this intense period. Your successful management of this annual renewal is a physical manifestation of the family's prosperity and piety, a clean slate for the new year that is as much spiritual as it is practical. While your meticulous seasonal planning ensures the household runs like clockwork, the rhythm of Roman social life is inherently unpredictable, and one of your greatest tests is the sudden, unannounced arrival of a guest. The crunch of carriage wheels on the gravel drive, when the family is not expecting anyone, sends an immediate and silent alarm through your entire being. This is not a mere interruption. It is a full-scale logistical challenge that you must meet with flawless composure, for the family's reputation for hospitality rests entirely on your ability to transform potential chaos into seamless welcome. Your first move is a study in controlled efficiency. Even as you move to greet the visitor at the door with a calm smile, you are issuing a silent, pre-arranged signal to a nearby attendant, a slight nod or a subtle hand gesture that sends them running to alert the dominus and domina of the unexpected company. Your mind is already mapping the critical path. The most immediate need is a suitable room. This is why you maintain a state of perpetual readiness in at least one guest chamber, a practice that proves its worth 100 times over. You direct a swift, silent team to perform a final check, fluffing the cushions on the bed, ensuring the water jug is full and fresh, and placing a small bowl of dried fruit or nuts on the side table. The goal is to have the room appear as if it has been waiting specifically for this guest all along, a haven of comfort prepared with anticipatory grace. Simultaneously, you descend upon the kitchen, where the head cook looks up with wide, questioning eyes. The evening meal, perhaps a simple family affair of leftovers and eggs, must be instantly elevated to a standard worthy of impressing a visitor. This is where your strategic reserves are crucial. You authorize the immediate unlocking of a better, aged vintage of wine from the cellar. You direct the use of the precious garum and imported spices for a more complex sauce. Perhaps you send a swift-footed slave to a neighboring vendor to procure a fresh fish or a special cheese, turning a simple meal into a modest feast. Every decision is made to create the illusion that this level of generous hospitality is your household's effortless norm. The guest should feel genuinely welcomed and honored, completely unaware of the frantic, silent ballet of preparation their arrival has just triggered. Your duties extend far beyond mere food and lodging. You are also the master of first impressions and social calibration. The way you receive a guest at the door sets the entire tone for their visit. For a high-ranking client or a political ally of the dominus, your demeanor is one of deep respect and efficient service, ushering them directly to a comfortable seat in the tablinum and offering a cup of wine without delay. For an unexpected relative, your tone might shift to one of warm, familial warmth, expressing delight at their surprise visit and immediately putting them at ease. You are adept at reading social status and intention from a visitor's dress, their mode of transport, and even their bearing, adjusting your approach accordingly to ensure they feel appropriately honored. The complexity deepens when guests stay for an extended period. Your role evolves into that of a discreet shadow, anticipating needs before they are spoken. You notice a guest favoring a particular fruit and ensure it appears at every meal. You might have a slave quietly clean and polish their travel-stained boots overnight. You arrange for fresh flowers in their room daily and ensure a supply of hot water is always available for washing. You also become a subtle source of information, briefing the dominus on any observations about the guest's mood or needs that he might have missed. This hyper-vigilance is exhausting, but it is the bedrock of the family's social capital. A well-hosted guest leaves not just with a full stomach, but with a story of impeccable generosity and refinement that they will share with their own circles, enhancing the family's prestige throughout the community. Your invisible hand, guiding every detail of their comfort, is the true architect of that reputation. But overseeing the villa's health extends far beyond reacting to crises. It is a proactive, daily campaign fought on multiple fronts, with you as its general. Your most visible battlefield is the bathhouse, a complex institution central to Roman life, and a monumental responsibility under your command. Ensuring its smooth operation is about far more than mere relaxation. It is about upholding a public standard of cleanliness that is fundamental to the family's status. Your day includes a detailed inspection of the entire complex, moving from the wood-stoked furnace of the hypocaust system that heats the floors and walls, to the three main rooms, the frigidarium with its invigorating cold plunge, the tepidarium's soothing warm room, and the scalding hot caldarium. You check that the temperatures in each room are perfectly balanced, a task requiring constant communication with the stoker slave who manages the furnace, and you ensure a steady supply of clean water is flowing into the pools and fountains. You personally inspect the strigils, the curved metal scrapers used to clean the skin, and the flasks of olive oil for anointing, making certain they are clean and replenished. The towels and linen sheets must be spotless, freshly laundered, and abundant. A malfunctioning drain or a lukewarm caldarium would be a profound embarrassment, a public failure of the household's ability to provide this essential Roman luxury, and the blame would land squarely on your shoulders for failing in your oversight. The foundation of all this cleanliness, and indeed of life itself, is a reliable and pure water supply. Managing this vital resource is another of your critical, unseen duties. You are intimately familiar with the villa's water sources, whether it be a deep well in the courtyard, a private cistern collecting rainwater from the compluvium roof, or a connection to a distant aqueduct. Your morning rounds include checking the water levels in the storage jars and ensuring the slaves tasked with drawing water are using the cleanest buckets and that the well's protective lid is secure against contaminants. You taste the water yourself, your palate trained to detect the slightest off flavor that might indicate a problem with the source. In the summer months, when water could become scarce, you become a strict rationing officer, prioritizing drinking and cooking water for the family and crucial kitchen use over the expansive needs of the baths or garden irrigation. You might even oversee the addition of a few drops of vinegar or a special filtration through sand and charcoal, methods believed to purify water that seemed questionable. The health of every single person in the villa, from the dominus to the lowliest field hand, depends on your vigilance over this most basic element. Your role as the household's chief health officer also extends into the realm of basic medicine. While a serious illness would require an expensive visit from a professional physician, you are the first and most constant recourse for the daily aches, pains, and minor ailments that afflict a large community. Your authority grants you access to a small, locked chest of remedies, and your knowledge, often passed down from a predecessor or learned from an experienced elder among the staff, is a blend of practical wisdom and traditional herbal lore. For a cook who has burned his hand, you might prepare a soothing poultice of honey and crushed plantain leaves, its sticky sweetness acting as a natural antiseptic. For a slave suffering from a stubborn cough, you might authorize a measure of precious honey to be mixed with thyme infused in hot water, or a syrup made from boiled onions. You keep supplies of dried chamomile for calming frazzled nerves, peppermint for settling upset stomachs, and yarrow for helping to staunch the flow of blood from a cut. You are also the guardian of the diet's role in health, understanding that food is medicine. You ensure the kitchen prepares easily digestible gruels for those feeling unwell, and includes strengthening foods like eggs and garlic in the general diet. Your goal is always to maintain the workforce in peak condition, to prevent a small complaint from blossoming into a debilitating illness that could disrupt the household's delicate equilibrium. In this, you are not just a manager of tasks, but a guardian of the very well-being that allows the entire villa to thrive. Yet another crucial department humming under your command is the textile workshop, a space where the raw materials of wool and flax are transformed into the very fabric of Roman life. This isn't a mere hobby, it's a serious economic enterprise, and as the head of household operations, you are its chief executive. The rhythmic clatter of the looms provides a constant backdrop in this dedicated area, usually staffed by a team of enslaved women whose skills directly contribute to the family's wealth. Your first duty each week is to take stock of the raw materials, running your fingers through the newly shorn wool to assess its quality and checking the supply of flax, soon to be beaten and combed into fine linen thread. You authorize the distribution of these materials to the spinners, the women who sit with their drop spindles, patiently twisting the fibers into strong, consistent yarn. Their output is the lifeblood of the entire operation, and you monitor their progress, ensuring there are no delays that would leave the weavers idle. The weavers themselves are your most valued artisans. Working on large, upright looms, they create the fabric that will become everything from the coarse tunics worn by field slaves to the fine, soft woolen garments for the family. You discuss patterns and densities with the lead weaver, a woman whose expertise you rely upon heavily. Should the next batch be a simple, sturdy plain weave for work clothes? Or is it time to produce a more complex twill for a new winter cloak for the young master? You are constantly planning seasons ahead, ensuring the household is appropriately clothed for both the scorching summer heat and the damp winter chill. The finished bolts of cloth are then measured, recorded on your wax tablets, and stored in your locked cupboards, a tangible inventory of the household's productive capacity. But the workshop's duties extend far beyond creating new cloth. A significant portion of your time is dedicated to maintenance and repair, because in the Roman world, textiles represented a substantial investment of labor and resources. Nothing was simply thrown away. Your keen eye is essential for spotting a fraying hem on the dominus stola or a small tear in the dominus's formal toga before it becomes a major problem. You assign these delicate mending tasks to the most nimble-fingered seamstresses, women who can make a repair virtually invisible. You also oversee the process of recycling. A worn-out adult tunic might be cut down into a child's garment, and the very last scraps of fabric are saved to be used as stuffing for cushions or as cleaning rags, ensuring every last thread provides value. One of your most visually dramatic responsibilities is the management of the dyeing process. The natural off-white and brown of wool and linen were merely a canvas. Color was a powerful indicator of status, and achieving vibrant, lasting hues was a complex chemical art. You procure the expensive dyes, the legendary Tyrian purple from murex snails, the rich red from madder root, the golden yellow from saffron or weld from specialist merchants, locking them away as carefully as you do the jewelry. You supervise the dyeing vats himself, often set up outdoors due to the pungent smells. The process is precise. The yarn must be treated with a mordant to fix the color, then submerged in the simmering dye bath for exactly the right amount of time. A miscalculation could ruin an entire batch of precious yarn, wasting weeks of labor and a small fortune in dye. A successful dyeing, however, resulted in a cascade of beautiful, colored yarns that would then be woven into striped or patterned cloth, elevating the family's wardrobe and serving as a public display of their refined taste and financial means. Every garment produced under your watch is not just clothing. It is a walking advertisement for the efficiency, wealth, and sophistication of the household you so skillfully manage. As the sun begins its final descent, casting long shadows across the mosaic floors, the pace within the villa shifts from the day's energetic industry to the quiet purpose of evening. Your role transforms once more, from a director of bustling activity to a conductor of closure, ensuring every thread of the day's work is neatly tied off. Your first order of business is a final, comprehensive tour of the grounds and outbuildings. You walk the perimeter, your hand testing the heavy iron bolts on the main gates, ensuring they slide home with a satisfying, solid thud that signals security for the night. You check that the smaller postern gate used by the kitchen staff is also barred from the inside. A single unsecured entrance is an open invitation to thieves or stray animals, and the safety of the entire household is your ultimate responsibility once the family retires. Inside, you move through the now quiet work areas. The kitchen, once a steamy hive of frantic energy, is being scrubbed down by the last shift of scullery slaves. You run a critical finger along a work table, checking for any lingering grease or food scraps that might attract pests overnight. You give a nod of approval to the head cook, who presents you with the cleaned and stacked cooking implements, their copper surfaces gleaming dully in the fading light. Your inspection continues to the stable yard, where you confirm the horses are groomed, fed, and settled in their stalls, and that the chickens are safely shut in their coop, protected from foxes. Every tool used during the day, hose, pruning knives, weaving shuttles, is accounted for and stored in its proper place. This final round is not just about tidiness. It is a ritual of accounting, a physical manifestation of the order you impose on the world, ensuring that nothing is out of place, nothing is vulnerable, and nothing is wasted as the household prepares for rest. With the practicalities secured, your attention turns to the transformation of the villa's atmosphere. As the last violet light of dusk fades from the sky, a profound darkness settles over the estate, broken only by the pinpricks of stars. This is your cue to bring forth the fire. Moving methodically from room to room, you take up the long, lit taper and begin the ceremony of the lamps. One by one, you touch the flame to the wicks of the clay oil lamps nestled in wall niches and perched on elegant stands. Each new flame pushes back the encroaching gloom, casting a warm, dancing light that plays across the frescoed walls and polished surfaces. The smell of burning olive oil begins to permeate the air, a familiar and comforting scent that signals the end of the day. In the main reception rooms, you might light a few more lamps than necessary, creating pools of welcoming light for the family, while in the hallways and servant areas, a single, modest lamp provides just enough illumination to navigate by. This act is deeply symbolic. You are quite literally holding the darkness at bay, creating a safe, illuminated island of civilization within the vast, unknown night. The culmination of your evening is the final report to the dominus. You find him typically in his tablinum, perhaps reviewing his own correspondence by the light of a finely crafted bronze lamp, or already reclining in the triclinium, enjoying a moment of quiet before the evening meal. You approach with your wax tablets in hand, your demeanor respectful and composed. This report is a concise summary of the day's accomplishments and any lingering issues. You might inform him that the blacksmith has been paid and the repaired plowshare collected, that the inventory of garum is sufficient for the next 3 weeks, and that the new Gaulish slave has been assigned to the vineyard and is working out well. You present the day's accounting, the careful tally of expenses from the market balanced against the household's needs. He listens, perhaps asking a clarifying question or two, before dismissing you with a nod of satisfaction. This moment is the final seal on the day's work. His approval is your ultimate reward, the confirmation that your relentless vigilance has once again preserved the peace and prosperity of his world. Only after the family has begun their evening meal, the soft sounds of their conversation and the clink of silverware echoing from the triclinium, can you finally consider your own day complete. You retreat to your own small quarters, a room that reflects your unique status, more spacious and private than the communal slave dormitories, yet far humbler than the family's opulent chambers. Here, you might share a simple meal of bread, cheese, and the evening's leftover pulls with the other senior members of the household staff, the villicus from the farm or the head cook. This is a time for unwinding, for exchanging the small stories of the day's minor triumphs, and frustrations in low, tired voices. Finally, you are left alone. You extinguish your own lamp and lie down on your simple cot, listening to the absolute silence of the secured villa. The weight of the keys you still carry feels heavy on a nearby chest, a constant reminder of the trust placed in you and the immense responsibility that will begin anew at the first light of dawn. Yet after the final lamp is extinguished and the quiet of night descends upon the villa, your world finally contracts from the sprawling estate to the confines of your own small room. Tucked away in a quiet corner near the kitchen, your quarters are a physical reflection of your unique position, a space of both privilege and stark reminder. It is more substantial than the cramped, communal dormitories of the general workforce, offering you a precious sliver of privacy. Yet its modesty is a constant, quiet testament to the unbreachable line between you and the family you serve. The walls are plain, the floor a simple mosaic of unadorned stone, and the furnishings are purely functional. A narrow bed with a wool-stuffed mattress, a small wooden chest for your few personal possessions, and perhaps a simple stool. A single small window, high on the wall, allows a meager cross breeze and a glimpse of the stars, your only connection to a world beyond duty. This room is the sanctuary where you can, for a few precious hours, cease being the villicus and simply be yourself. And within this private space, you might harbor a secret life that would surprise the dominus. As a trusted manager, you likely receive a small monthly allowance, a peculium which you are permitted to keep. These carefully saved coins, hidden away in a sealed pot buried beneath the floor or tucked deep within your chest, represent something almost subversive, the faint, tangible hope of a future beyond servitude. This money could one day be used to purchase your freedom, or if you are already freed, to buy the freedom of a loved one, a spouse or a child who remains enslaved. This quiet act of saving is a private rebellion, a silent declaration of a selfhood that exists outside the demands of the household. For some in your position, this private life also includes a family. You might have a wife or husband, also enslaved within the villa, and children who sleep in the room with you or in the general quarters. Your relationship, while not recognized by Roman law, is a profound source of strength and vulnerability. Your love for them is the deepest secret you keep, a well of emotion you must carefully conceal during the working day. You maintain a professional distance, assigning them tasks with the same detached efficiency you show others, your heart aching to show favoritism, but your mind knowing it would only breed resentment and endanger them. Your greatest fear is not for yourself, but that a mistake you make could see them punished, sold away, or separated from you. This hidden emotional world is the heaviest burden you carry, the starkest reminder that your authority is a fragile gift that can be revoked in an instant, shattering the life you've built in the shadows. The rhythm of your rest is dictated entirely by the rhythm of the villa itself. True repose is a luxury you can only claim when every other soul in the vast complex is finally at ease. While the family dines and then retires, your evening is just beginning its final phase of accounting and security checks. It is only when the last slave has finished their cleaning duties and retreated to their own rest that you can finally close your own door. In the profound silence, you might take a moment to simply sit on your stool, listening to the unfamiliar sounds of the sleeping house. The creak of a floorboard, the distant hoot of an owl, the soft breathing of your children. These are the moments you truly own, stolen from the endless cycle of obligation. Perhaps you count your savings again by the faint light of an oil lamp, the clink of each coin a quiet melody of hope. Or maybe you share a few whispered words with your partner, discussing your child's fever or a worry about the dominus's mood. Conversations that can only happen in this sacred, hidden space. Your rest is short and often interrupted. Your sleep, that of someone who knows the dawn, will arrive all too quickly, bringing with it the immense weight of responsibility once more. Your private life is not an escape from the villa. It is a fragile world built in its interstices, a small garden of personal meaning tended with infinite care in the deep and silent hours of the night. This unique position you hold, this delicate dance between servant and supervisor, is built upon a foundation of immense privilege that is as fragile as it is real. Your authority, your private room, your direct access to the master's ear. These are comforts unknown to the field hand breaking his back under the sun, or the scullery maid scrubbing pots until her hands are raw. You eat better food, wear finer clothes, and likely even receive a small monetary allowance, a peculium that you are permitted to save. This is a life of comparative comfort, a world within a world where your competence has carved out a space of respect. You are the indispensable cog, the one person who understands the intricate workings of the entire machine, and that knowledge grants you a form of power that is both intoxicating and terrifying. The family relies on you not just for their comfort, but for the very public perception of their wealth and status. A perfectly managed household is a reflection of their virtue, and you are the artist behind that reflection. This trust is the greatest reward of your station, a silent acknowledgement of your worth in a society that often refuses to see it. Yet, this privileged perch is balanced precariously over a precipice of potential disaster. The trust you enjoy is entirely conditional, revocable in a single moment of failure. The Roman household was not a forgiving environment. It operated on a strict economy of blame, and as the chief administrator, you were the ultimate recipient of it. A mistake could be as grand as a poorly calculated inventory leading to hunger during a lean season, or as seemingly minor as a guest of high status receiving a tepid welcome. A single spoiled dish at a banquet, a theft from the stores you were meant to be guarding, an outbreak of illness among the slaves that halts work. Any of these could be traced back to a lapse in your oversight. The consequences were severe and personal. Demotion was a constant threat. You could find yourself stripped of your keys and your room, reassigned to a backbreaking job in the fields or the mill, a devastating fall from grace that would serve as a stark warning to your replacement. Worse still was the threat of sale. A master displeased with your management might decide to simply cut his losses, placing you on the auction block to be sold away from everything and everyone you know, to an unknown future that could be far harsher than your current life. This sword of Damocles hangs over every decision you make, a constant reminder that your comfort is earned anew each day through flawless execution. The ultimate reward for a lifetime of such flawless service, the glittering prize that makes the relentless pressure worthwhile, was the hope of manumission, formal emancipation. This was not a common or guaranteed outcome, but for the exceptional housekeeper, it was a real and powerful dream. A master, profoundly grateful for decades of loyal and intelligent service, might grant freedom as his final, greatest reward. This act was often done in his will, a posthumous thank you that also served to burnish his own reputation for generosity. Alternatively, you might be permitted to use your carefully saved peculium to purchase your own freedom, a transaction that acknowledged your personhood in the most concrete way possible. The moment of manumission was transformative. You would step out of the shadow of servitude and into the light as a Roman citizen, often with the family you served becoming your patron, a relationship of mutual obligation and respect that could launch you into a new life of commerce or land ownership. This was the dream that fueled the long hours and absorbed the immense stress, the dream of owning your own time, your own labor, and your own destiny. But beyond even the profound gift of freedom lay a more subtle, enduring reward, the legacy of respect. Whether you died in service or lived to taste freedom, your true triumph was the reputation you built. A successful housekeeper was remembered. Your name would be spoken with admiration by the family you served, held up as the gold standard for generations of servants who came after you. Your methods, your wisdom, and your uncompromising standards would become part of the household's oral history, a legend of efficiency and loyalty. In a world that sought to reduce you to property, you would have carved out an identity defined by your skill, your integrity, and your indispensable role. This legacy was a form of immortality, a proof that you had not merely passed through the villa's halls, but that you had, through the sheer force of your will and intellect, shaped its very heart and forever altered its story. Your life was a high-stakes gamble, a constant performance under the most intense scrutiny, but the potential winnings were nothing less than your own selfhood, etched permanently into the memory of the world you worked so hard to maintain. So the next time you find yourself tidying up at home, perhaps overwhelmed by a growing pile of laundry or a kitchen that seems to constantly need restocking, take a moment to consider the ancient Roman villa housekeeper. Theirs was a world without modern appliances, digital lists, or instant communication, yet they orchestrated a symphony of domestic life with a level of skill and stealth that would humble most of us today. This was not merely a job of cleaning and organizing. It was a position of immense responsibility, a delicate dance of managing people, preserving resources, navigating social politics, and even appeasing the gods, all while remaining nearly invisible. They were the ultimate masters of multitasking, the unseen CEOs who kept the sprawling, complex households of an empire running smoothly, ensuring that the luxurious Roman lifestyle we often romanticize was actually possible. This deep dive into their daily life reveals more than just historical facts. It uncovers the profound echoes of our own present routines, the challenges of budgeting for a household, the never-ending battle against clutter and mess, the careful management of a family's schedule and social calendar. These are struggles that transcend centuries. While our tools have evolved from wax tablets to smartphone apps, and our cleaning supplies have advanced from ash and urine to chemical solutions, the fundamental human desire for order, comfort, and a well-run home remains a timeless constant. The Roman housekeeper's story is a powerful reminder that behind every great era of history, there were countless individuals performing the essential, often overlooked labor that built the foundation for civilization itself. If you enjoyed unraveling this mystery of daily life in ancient Rome and stepping into the sandals of someone who truly shaped history from the shadows, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What aspect of the villa housekeeper's life surprised you the most? Could you see yourself managing such an immense responsibility? Share your reflections in the comments below. Let's get a conversation going. And if you're hungry for more historical deep dives that explore the fascinating realities of the past, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. We're just getting started exploring how the past, in ways both grand and subtle, continues to echo through our present routines, our homes, and our lives.